Hi everyone, my name's Dr. Marisa White and I am coming to the internet today to make a video about how to talk to your children about school shootings. Today, unfortunately, in Tennessee, we did have a school shooting, and after talking with a lot of colleagues and friends, it came to my attention that some people might not know how to speak with their own children about such events that happen. So because I am a licensed professional counselor and I've been a counselor educator for over 15 years, I thought this would be a great opportunity to provide some education to others about how to talk about these tragic events to your kids. And as a result, I've asked my 10-year-old daughter to help me today to kind of do a mini talk session, not a counseling session. Obviously, I'm not her counselor. I am a counselor, not her counselor. So just kind of like how to talk to your kids about the situation. She does not know what went on today. She does know the topic that we're going to talk about, and just kind of do a dry run through of what I would say to children. And hopefully this will help caregivers, parents, grandparents, whomever, kind of sit down and have some of those difficult conversations with the children or loved ones in your life. So I'm going to go ahead and start just to kind of give you a brief overview of how I would approach something like this. So today, while you were in science class, like, I got information that there was a school shooting. Now, you know, we talk about, I know you're nervous because you're on tape. You know that we talk about stuff like this, and we've talked about it in the past. Can you tell me any time in the past that we've talked about where people have went into places and hurt other people?
Yeah, I remember when I was in first grade that you told me one time, but it was also kind of close to my school.
Okay. So not something that happened at your school, but something that was close to your school. Okay. Well, today there was something that happened in Nashville, and it was a situation to where it was a private school, and and where 6 people have died. So some of the reports say 6, some say 7. And the reason that I wanted to have the talk with you, there's lots of different reasons, is one, I always want you to be aware that you can talk to me about anything. And 2, you might hear your friends, whether at school or at events. When we were driving home, the radio started saying something about it, and I shut the radio off because I wanted to have that conversation with you first. And I know that when things like this go on, it can cause people to worry about their friends or teachers or parents who might work in similar settings. It can also cause people to kind of have like an upset belly or headache or just kind of nervous energy about it. Do you have any questions about it?
Were they children who died?
They were. So there was a school, and somebody went in, I don't know all the details yet, and with a gun, and had shot, and they said that they took the children to the hospital, 3 children and I think 3 adults. At this point, that's what they know. So they haven't given a ton of information. So we will definitely pray for them and pray for their family, because that is very sad. But also knowing that we are very thankful for the first responders. So the police came and handled the situation and made sure that the person couldn't hurt anybody else. So everyone at that school is safe now, and in that neighborhood is safe. There's still a lot of like police activity and a lot of stuff on the news, and some of the stuff on the news might be incorrect. So if you hear something, one of your friends say something, or you hear adults talking about it, or even if you hear something like you overheard the news at our house or at somebody else's house, and you have a question, I want you to bring that question to me, and then we can research and find out if it's the truth. Because the first time I heard, it was a shooter who was really young. And then I heard information that it was somebody who was an adult. So the information changes over time. And we want to make sure we don't just believe whatever's out there, that we are doing our research and making sure that we're getting our information from the right people.
Okay.
So what happens if one of your friends is upset about it?
Try to comfort them.
Okay. How could you comfort them?
Saying it's okay. It probably won't happen close where we are.
Okay. So those are great answers. So you could comfort them, you could tell them it's okay. What would be some other good advice? What else could they do?
They could pray about it.
Okay. So if they believe in prayer, they could pray. Could they talk to one of the adults in their lives?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if your friends weren't talking about it, is it a topic that you might bring up to them?
Yeah, maybe. It depends how old they would be.
How old they would be? So that's a good thing to think about. So we have some people in our friend group and in our community that we don't want to bring it up in front of them because maybe their parents aren't ready for them to know about it. Maybe it would make them too scared. And that's their parents' job to talk about with them, not necessarily our job, right?
Right.
So we don't want to bring things like that up if it's not our place to do it. But if somebody brings it up to us, we can always say, like, yeah, my mom talked to me about it. It's definitely something you should talk to your mom about. Or for you, if something came up and I wasn't available, who else could you talk to?
Talk to my dad, probably.
Okay. What other adults could you talk to?
My grandparents, my aunt, my brothers.
Right. So you have lots of adults that you could talk to if I'm not available or if you don't feel comfortable sharing something with me. The other reason I wanted to talk to you about this is that it did happen in an elementary school, so kids your age. What if you had a friend or somebody who was having certain feelings like they wanted to hurt other people or hurt themselves?
I would probably try to convince them to not think about that anymore.
Okay.
Also, I would say you should probably talk to your parents about that.
Okay.
But mostly kind of like change their thoughts of hurting other people.
Okay.
Like making them love other people and stuff.
So trying to help them have better, more productive thoughts and recommending that they do talk to an adult. What if they didn't do those? What steps would you take?
Probably telling you
Okay.
about it, and then like you could talk to their parents to talk to their kids.
Okay. And would that be tattling?
Yeah, but it would also protect them.
Okay. So there's a difference between tattling and then telling to help someone. So tattling is just trying to get somebody in trouble, right? And then when you're trying to help someone and you tell, that's not really tattling. That is when you're trying to be helpful, and that is definitely needed because there are people out there who have negative thoughts or feel a certain way, and maybe they don't have somebody at home to talk to, and they might be telling you, or maybe you see it written down in their notebook at school, or you know that they're drawing pictures of hurting things, and you always want to go to an adult. So like if you were in a situation to where you were at science class, it's something you might say, hey, Mr. Jason, can I talk to you alone? And tell him, and then definitely tell your parents or, you know, a comfortable adult that you're comfortable with so that they can intervene. Because to me, it's not the same as tattling. Tattling is when you want to get somebody in trouble, and this is when you want to help someone. So it's very different. But also just being very empathetic and kind, making sure that we're kind to all people, and that we are watching out for ourselves and for all people. Do you ever get scared that there might be a shooter somewhere that you are?
Not really, no.
Okay, because you're not in school, or because
just
you
because
just don't
I
think about
know
it?
that we are in a safe environment.
Okay.
Like where we live, there's not a lot of crimes here.
Okay. So you feel safe. And if at any time you don't feel safe, I want you to know that I'm here and you can come talk to me, even if you think it's silly. Even if you have friends that are saying, oh, don't be a baby, don't be scared, you can still talk to me about it.
Okay.
And if there is ever a time where somebody is like your belly's just telling you, like, oh, that person makes me nervous, and you don't know why, and you try to tell yourself, like, oh, don't be silly, you don't have to be nervous around them. If your belly's telling you, I want you to trust it, and I want you to just say, like, hey, I feel uncomfortable. Can we go over here? Or can we do something different? And that's for all situations. We've talked about that a lot in the past. And just being aware of your surroundings, because there are people out there who aren't thinking right and aren't acting right, and we don't want to be in harm's way. But the great thing is you are safe. The police have handled the situation, and the first responders. Unfortunately, there were people who were hurt, and we will pray for them. And then if you start thinking about it, maybe at night or another time, and you have additional questions, you can just come and ask me, okay?
Okay.
Do you have other questions right now?
Have they caught the person who hurt the other people?
They did. That person is no longer alive.
Okay.
Other questions?
No, I think that's really it.
Okay. So that's an example of how I would talk to a 10-year-old. Obviously, if they were a little bit younger, it might just be there was a person who hurt people at a local school, so I would just wanted you to be aware if you have any questions, etc. It would kind of basically be very similar to what I just did with my daughter, because I think I've been having these conversations with her since she's been 4, maybe 5. So it's definitely something that we talk about in the household, just so she can be aware of certain events that are going on, because I'd rather her hear it from me than, like I said, we were traveling home and it was on the radio and her peers at school are going to be talking about it, or they're going to overhear their parents talking about it. And I'd rather have that open communication with her. If you want additional information about how to help in a particular crisis, information on crisis counselors, etc., you can always Google counselors in your area and see who specializes in that particular area. If you are a counselor and you need additional information, I do have additional resources and articles, so you can always contact me directly. And there is just a plethora of information out there. You might want to start with your state organizations. In Tennessee, we have the Tennessee Counseling Association and the Tennessee Licensed Professional Counselors Association, so TCA and TLPCA, that have resources and advocacy online. And if something like this happens in a school near you, the school counselors will have additional information, as well as just additional resources, probably through law enforcement, etc. But there are resources out there to help with anxiety or PTSD or any of the symptoms that you might be having related to a crisis in your area. Whether you're directly involved or just having anxiety because you're watching it on the news too much, etc. So please take care of yourself, practice self-care, and I encourage an open communication with your loved ones. Thanks.